So we're talking about bar chords.
Big one, which is a major strumming we've discussed, and we've looked at how to get that nice action. But if you're going to move from an open position to a bar chord, and let's keep it to an E-shaped bar chord.
Okay, so let's start with E.
Right.
Okay. I sit awake, there's an angel. Should add some reverb on that, ladies and gentlemen. The sound of God.
We're
The
off.
angel. And we've begun, we definitely have. Okay, so I would say depending on the width of your neck, that's going to make a big difference, isn't it, as well? And the height of your strings, so is your guitar set up well, and the gauge of your strings. Those are three elements that you can use as excuses for your bad technique. Okay, but really you should be able to do it, shouldn't you? But there are guitars, and if I go to school and I pick up one of the guitars from the corner of the room when I'm teaching,
You got to work.
you know, I'm like, oh bloody hell, that's hard work. Don't give that one to the kid, you know. This is quite a thin neck, so my thumb when I'm playing the E is quite far round. My classical is completely different. It's like a sledge.
2-inch wide.
Yeah, it's massive. But I think, first of all, let's just talk about the easiest way to make the bar chord. So let's say that we're going to play exactly the same shape, but I don't want to use the first finger. So we're going to move all the numbers along. So second goes where first was, third goes where second was, and pinky now goes where third was. Okay, and just slide that up. 1. Now, this shouldn't change. The key is to get the first finger flat. Now, I can't if my thumb's around here. So I'm going to bring my thumb back, and it's never flat. It's always partially on the side, okay?
So that's not a diversion. You're moving that E shape up from there to there. Some beginners,
Yes.
or some teachers throw. But why do I need the capo here? If I just sure that's an E, and I can just move it up. Because it fits in with the bar chord.
Okay, I'm only chuckling because we've had this conversation before. There is a difference between a shape, a chord shape that you learn, and let's call it a shape, and the notes you're actually playing.
Agreed. Okay.
The name of the chord is derived from the actual notes that are sounding. So if I take the guitar and I go to somebody on another instrument and they've got perfect pitch, whatever, or they can find it on the piano, I go, can you play the notes I'm playing? They will tell you the notes they're playing on the piano as, okay, we just think, oh, that's a shape, and people put the capo on, and where they get confused is, let's say you put your capo on 3rd fret, okay, and you play a C, and they go, but I'm playing C. Did it sound the same? No.
Yeah.
Okay, we can hear it's major, and we can hear that the distance between those notes, the interval, which is the distance between notes, is the same. Okay, so I'm going up a major 3rd, okay, and it's the same.
But
those are different notes. That's E flat,
to me, though,
G and B flat.
And when you look at the chord dial for a beginner, all they see are the black bits. They just see this one, and this one, and they think that, and it's quite right. That is,
it's the shape of E.
It's a shape of E. But they always seem to forget about the other things which are still
the
all
open
ringing
strings.
Out.
Yeah, so if I took this and I go, I mean, really what you want to do, honestly, is learn to read music. Because if you learn to read music and that's how you start on the guitar, you will learn the notes, okay? And if you're not going to learn to read music because you think, well, I'm too far down the line, I haven't got the time, then learn your scales.
Or the arpeggio, I guess.
Or the arpeggio of the chord, and say the notes as you do it.
Yeah.
Because if I know this is E, well, that can't be E. So what's a semitone above E? A semitone being 1 fret on the guitar. Well, that, for us, is either E sharp or F, but we're going to call it F. Okay, so if this is E, the E shape, and I slide the shape up by a semitone 1 fret, and I bar imagining that was a capo, what is a semitone higher than E? It's F, so it's now F. Right. Okay, now if I go up another semitone from F, okay, that's F sharp or G flat. A semitone above that is G. So actually, I think a really good place to start is learn how to do 4 different bar chord shapes. So we'll just quickly go back to this E for a second. Okay. You were sliding up. Now the key is to get that first finger as close to the fret wire as possible and keep it flat. Now the shape I make, we'll have to zoom in on this if we can, looks like the letter E. If I was doing a shadow puppet. Yeah. Okay, and then the thumb is becoming a clamp. Rather than being curved like this, it's now a clamp. But we don't need a great amount of pressure to get it. If you're pressing down like, hell for leather, and you're finishing and you're getting tension here and you're crying in your sleep because you think, oh my God, tomorrow night I've got a gig and I've got to play the chord of F, rethink your life and practice properly. That you've got to bridge. You've got to, if that's the string, what people do is they block the string. So the angle of their hand is wrong. So they're pushing up with the wrist or they're pushing forward with the wrist. And everything you're doing there is wrong. Okay, so I imagine it's a puppet, turn, pull up, close. It's literally that. This is really straight. What you could do is you could put a capo on and then try everything higher up if you wanted.
And that just makes it easier.
Just makes it easier because there's less tension higher up on the strings because they're looser. So let's just quickly say, because it's hard for us to do this without having multiple cameras, but let's discuss quickly the 4 shapes we think you should know that are most useful. So you've got E, which you can then change and slide to any bar chord, major bar chord, where the root note, the lowest note in the chord, is on the 6th string. So now what should you do? Maybe you should learn all the notes on the 6th string. So E, F, F sharp G, G sharp A sharp B, C, C sharp D, D sharp E, repeat. Or learn it as flats, E, F, G flat, G, A flat, and so forth, okay? So that's one shape.
Actually, somebody showed me once, go up sharps, but start here and go back flats.
Hey.
Is that the way to do it? Or
well, you can if you want. Yeah, it's just another way of learning it. What you want to think is that it's what we call an enharmonic equivalent. 2 notes of the same value, in essence, but G flat is the same as F sharp. And that's why piano players find it easier, because literally they can see here's all the white notes, that's an F. Well, if it's one above F, that's an F sharp. If it's one below G, that could be F sharp or G flat or whatever. But remember that you're either using sharps or flats, depending on your key, not both.
Okay.
Yeah. Right, so there's one. Right, take the swearing finger off. So the middle one, sorry if I'm swearing at the camera now, but now that's related to E minor. So you've got E and E minor, F and F minor, okay, or wherever you put it. Let's now take the 2 others, which are A. I've immediately put my fingers down using the shape, slide that up 1 and bar, and then A minor, slide up 1 and bar. Now, where a lot of people go wrong is when they do E and E minor and they slide up 1, or they've got E down, they'll bar and they know it's next to the middle finger. Just be aware that when you do A, there is an empty fret. I'm only mentioning it because how many times have you seen people and you're teaching that and they get that wrong? So remember, in a way, you're just taking that shape and sliding. So your hand is actually, I think,
keeping the integrity of the shape together. Aren't you?
Yeah, it's like made of stone and it's just moving, and the arm is just moving, but the hand is staying stationary. Or you could think that you're kind of doing that, aren't you?
Yeah.
So those 4 shapes, E minor and E, A minor and A, and turn those into bar chords and learn all the notes on the 2 bass strings, and you'll be laughing. Okay.
Somebody asked me once, I can play my G chord fine. Yeah. As an E shape, but G7 is a bit awkward.
I'm intrigued why it's awkward. Oh, because they're not fretting it right.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what we were discussing.
Because I noticed your finger's it's not sticking up here.
No, it's only going to where it needs to go to.
and they do. They showed me they go, and then
but this happens, right? Wrist comes up, right? I'm going to get closer to the camera for this.
Yeah.
Right. Your wrist pushes up, and it immediately pulls the fingers back.
Yes.
And then what happens is the back of your ring finger. I can't see the camera, by the way. So I don't know whether this is a good picture or not, but it'll change the angle of your finger, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, hang on a second, that road we were discussing, okay, so I explain it to when you're teaching students, I mean, it seems really silly, but, they're building a bridge over the M25 where the A3 is at the moment. If the bridge collapses, none of the traffic can get through. So if you imagine your string vibrating as traffic having to go along the road, but your bridge falls because you're not bridging over the string. Yeah. So I think this happens a lot. So they'll be doing G, and then they take a finger off. Oh, it's just the angle of the fingers, isn't it? It's got to be up, that, and down. You've really got. You've got it perfect. So, but the back of this third
I'm
finger.
Trying to simulate what they did.
Well, it'll be this, won't it?
Yeah, it's as if this crease here, or something along those lines.
I'll tell you where it happens a lot as well is on the top strings, and I know what you're saying. It's wherever there's a knuckle joint, so there's a crease in the underside of the finger. That's why that's got to stay flat, But that can only be flat if your thumbs in the right place. So what I would do is, we always do, sitting in the morning sun, I'll be sitting when the evening comes, which, by the way, if you want to know, is G, 3rd fret, B, 7th fret, C, 8th fret, and then come down chromatically to 5th fret, which is A. Why don't you just practice partial chords to begin with? 3 strings.
I think we should do another session on triads.
Yeah, you got to learn this stuff, because then you could do power chord. And what you've done is you've broken down your practice again to going, I'm going to do a nugget here and a nugget here, and then I'm going to build it up to the final thing. But I always think, if your wrist is up or your wrist is pushed forward, you're wrong already.
Mm-hmm.
You've just made your life hard.
Yeah.
So why would, I think we need to judge ourselves a bit more critically and go, don't just presume you can't do something. Like, you can definitely do it. Everyone can do it.
And we'll only do one other thing then for bar chords, the A shape.
Yeah.
And I know you like to do like...
Well, I tend to just avoid playing the top string so I don't get a 6th added, right? So I don't want that. I just...
So you're doing quite accurate strumming middle strings, aren't you?
I am, which means that I'm not bringing my arm up and down from the elbow, which we discussed in a previous one. I'm literally keeping that small.
And on that point, we've got to finish.
Yes, because you need to go out.
Because I'm getting looks through a window and they're laser focused. So should we call it quits on that?
We shall.
Good. Right.
See you next time.
See you. Thanks, Andy.